Welcome to edition of Lil Life Chats. We have a very special guest this week, and I say special all the time, but this week it's extra special. It is not just a teammate. We are joined with a current NBL player, the Adelaide 36ers, former NBA player for the Atlanta Hawks, a very talented junior basketballer, a musician, and more importantly, a leader in the queer community. Isaac Humphries, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Have I missed anything off the first little introduction?
It's a long list, but no, that's a great intro. Thank you.
Great. That's pretty brief, but
It's all good.
we'll just jump straight into
Get
it.
into it,
Yeah, we
you
will.
know.
You grew up in Cronulla. You were a basketballer always. A bit of rugby league as well, was that on the
Yeah, I
cards?
did play rugby league. I grew up actually more a musician, to be honest with you. I was a very drama-based sort of kid. Wasn't very tall, just a normal-sized sort of kid. And really into the arts. And then I grew really tall and around 12, 13, and my mum thought I should try basketball. And that just took off. But yeah, I was playing rugby league, doing all sorts of music, and then basketball. And yeah, just a sporty, fully rounded sort of kid, that we all are as Aussies. But yeah.
So, did you ever, as a kid, was it more a passion of yours to take on the stage, or was it more the basketball court?
Yeah, it was more stage for me, because I started playing around 12, 13 basketball. Mm-hmm. So that's, a fair bit of time before basketball came into my life that I just loved being on stage and was probably a little bit more talented at it than the other kids. So it sort of made sense for me to go down that route. And then, of course, when basketball came along, I just put it on the back seat a little bit, got my basketball life sorted, and then have integrated it as I've gone on with my career. But yeah, basketball came along and it just took off. It was very obviously something that I should have been doing, and it was going to be a big part of my life pretty quickly, which came with good and bad things. I didn't get to really grow up loving it with friends and having all this fun and learning all these things. It was just okay, here's a year of teaching you fundamentals, and then you're going to play for Australia now. And it was just over. My childhood was officially over. And then it just took on, and then life just...
Sorry, that's Ned Brockman's live stream that's just started. Sorry about that.
I just heard he's running 4 marathons a day or something.
Yes, yeah, it's ridiculous.
Wow,
yeah,
that's
it's
wild.
Unbelievable. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, so your life was over. It was just
life was over.
You are an amazing basketballer. This is what you're doing now.
Pretty much. And then, adolescence and childhood as I knew it was over. Yeah, it was really basketball, not much time with my friends, just sport life, and then you don't know anything else after that.
Because then you did it, I'm sure a lot happened, but then you ended up at the most sort of historic, iconic college with the Kentucky Wildcats.
Yeah.
How did you get there from being someone who just loved the theatre and arts and it was here I am, now I'm doing this thing?
There was a fair bit of years in between that where I went to the AIS, played international basketball a lot in the Australian sort of junior system, and it just sort of put me on the map a fair bit, being so international with basketball, and doing well, as a junior. And then I got an opportunity to go to high school in America. So I had my last year in high school, and just through being over there, it's sort of a lot of exposure in that. And even though I was already being recruited by a lot of schools from international basketball, just being in America helped. And then, they would fly out and watch me train, and they'd just always be there. And there was a little bit to it. My college intro was interesting. I reclassified and went a year early, and there was a bit of weird stuff to it. But landing in Kentucky was it was almost a last resort, but it was the most amazing last resort ever, And when I was 17, I was the youngest college basketball player in history, and I was 17 years old at one of the biggest basketball institutions on the globe, and thrust into this world of private jets and private chefs and bodyguards and just the craziest stuff ever, And I just was what is this, I'm a child.
How has this happened?
I should be Cronulla, doing my HSC or something, and now I'm playing in front of 27,000 people at the biggest arenas ever, and it was just madness. So really cool experience, but sort of lost like what life was a little bit, because as you can imagine, like it's just overwhelming. You know, that's not normal for sort of anyone to really go through, and to go through it so young. You know, without my family or without anybody, it was very weird. Also, while like really unsure of who I was, you know, trying to fit in with the girlfriend thing, and you know, it was just so much happening that I just didn't really know what it was at the time. So,
how did you navigate that sort of period of uncertainty of life, not having your support network around, amazing opportunities, you say, but also a challenging time?
Yeah, I think I just like honed in on what I was doing, and you know, you sort of make that excuse of like, no, I'm like dedicated to basketball, you know. But I had amazing friends. We all got really close because, you know, the whole world would watch us, all these like kids as my teammates, and we sort of had this really tight knit group where we'd look after each other, and everyone else sort of, you just block it out. But yeah, I mean, there was so much going on, and I made some really lifelong friends there within basketball, but also just within the school. And you know, family sort of took me in. And the thing about Kentucky is they're so like homey, and they're so like, come over and we'll cook you dinner and like all this stuff. And that really helped me for sure, you know. And I got like a surrogate family sort of thing, and Easter and Christmas was with them, and you just sort of learn how to be away from home. So yeah.
I read somewhere or listened to you say that you identified yourself as a lone wolf. Was that during this time
I even have it
where?
tattooed on me.
Yeah, there it is, in the flesh. And is that a time where you were feeling a bit of a lone wolf?
For sure, yeah. I used to do this thing where I'd just disappear, and my friends would call it my missions. Like, oh, here goes Isaac on his missions. Like, where is he, you know?
Where were you?
I'd just disappear. And I'd go like hiking, or I got really into this like weird photography, and I'd just go hiking and take photos, and proper just loner, you know? Like, I just had to have my alone time. Really what was going on was I was like fully battling with like internal demons, and like really not sure what was going on in my life outside of like basketball. So that was, looking back, I understand why I isolated myself so much. But my Isaac missions, as all my friends call it, they'd be like, we just see you leave, and
did you at least come back with good stories and be like, guys, I just did the craziest thing?
I'd always come back and, no, actually I never told anyone what I was doing. I would just be like, don't worry.
You're an enigma.
You know, don't worry about it. They just never knew what I was doing. And honestly, there were some crazy times where I would like hike and find myself on like a railroad in the middle of like Kentucky and be like, where am I? Or one time I was hiking, and a deer, like a big antlered deer, was just stopped in front of me on a track, and I'm like, this is spiritual, like something's going on.
Someone's talking to
me.
me.
And he just like sat there, and we just looked at each other, like, you know, I forgot all about that, you know. But yeah, there was some really cool, I was a weirdo for sure, like I still am, but
we all are.
Yeah.
The best of us. Yeah.
I was just going to say that.
We're good kind of, me and you.
Absolutely,
we get it.
So, yeah. But yeah, lone wolf through and through. I've sort of developed into a bit more of like a bit of social butterfly as life has gone on. I've become comfortable in my skin, and but I'm an introvert at heart and just love my alone time at heart, yeah. But in our world, like, you kind of got to be on sometimes, you know, so I just flick through it.
You play the game.
Yeah, play the game.
And so through that, obviously really challenging time personally, and basketball a little bit too. Like, it took you a little bit of time to get an NBA contract.
Yep.
You did get one with the Atlanta Hawks.
I did.
How was that experience? And then playing the NBA, like, not many people get to say they're on an NBA list.
Literally, like, wild. It was not a normal journey, like, because there's that pathway to the NBA that a lot of players go through, and it wasn't like that for me. I eventually got there, but it was, through a bit of hard times and, you know, questioning abilities and all that stuff. Because I just wasn't playing great at Kentucky, but I was so young, and like, there were so many reasons that made sense. But in my head, I'm like, no, like, I should be so good. You know, I've always been so good. Like, why am I? I think it was just the first time I sort of was amongst really great players as well, where you had to, you know, use other skills to be good. Once I got to the NBA, it was through a really hard work situation. So that it was really like gratifying, and I really felt like I earned it, you know, and that was really cool. And when I ran out in my uniform, and, you know, they kit you out, like, it is so cool.
Oh, you're a king.
You're so kitted out in like Nike and like all these amazing
Damn,
things.
boy.
Yeah, just working that uniform, you know. And I ran out there, and I knew my mum had flown like all the way from Sydney to, I think it was San Antonio we were playing in my first game. And it was just a wild like experience. You know, you run from like the change room, you sprint out all the way down the hallways. It's like this huge run, and you're just so amped up, and you're like, whoa. And I had played in massive arenas at that point, but something about being on an NBA team was just different. Like, you've reached the top of the top in your sport, in your craft. And I was like, yeah, I'll just sit on the bench. Like, you know, I'll cheer my teammates on. First quarter, like a few minutes into the game, they're like, Isaac. And I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I'm going straight in. All right. And then the next game I started, I got my first career start in the NBA against Giannis. Like, just wild, you know. I was sitting, like, warming up, just like minding my own business. And the coach comes over and he's like, so we're going to have you start on Giannis tonight. And I'm just like, what?
Are you sure?
What is happening? Yeah. Like, I'm like, me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think like an all-stars like down in the locker room, you know, like maybe not me. But yeah, it was really cool experience for sure. And I wasn't there forever, and that's okay. Like, I got my experience. And then the next year I had a really good opportunity with Orlando Magic and was really close to like solidifying my space in the NBA, I think anyway. And then COVID happened, and I was sent home to Australia because of, you know, no one knew what was going on. And I essentially got locked out of America. We all got locked here, and we just thought it was the best option for me to explore the NBL. And I came back to the NBL and played in Adelaide for the first year and was doing really well. It was the year Josh Giddey and I were just like connecting on another level. And I had like early season MVP talks. Like, it was just humming for me. And then I just got injured, and like literally was injured for like 2 years, and just never found that ball rolling again. And it just killed my momentum of everything. And I missed out on Olympic things, and like I made Olympic squads and had to pull out, and I missed so much. And it was really hard to go from like this really cool high that I had been riding to just like, will I ever play again? You know, like it was full. I couldn't even stand up from a chair at one point. Like, it was just wild.
Out.
So, yeah.
And were you expecting to go back probably like to a team like Orlando?
I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it was so up in the air. No one really knew. And then they went into a bubble themselves. So it was just hard to get back into that world. And then I was playing well enough to maybe get back over there. And then the injuries happened. And now I'm, you know, a wounded horse of 2 years. And I just think the window was gone.
Yeah. So then it was 2 years here in Adelaide, was it? And then you went to
2 years in Adelaide,
and then you went to Melbourne United.
Yeah, but I had to walk away from basketball. Like, I left the team here halfway through the second year of my Adelaide stint, and I moved to LA to rehab with a trainer who was sort of my last hope. Mm-hmm. And it worked, because then Melbourne United came to watch me work out in LA, and they were like, all right, like, we can do this, like, let's do it, you know. And they took a risk. And I'll forever be grateful for them for so many reasons. Like, I love that club and everyone there, but just taking a risk on me was like a really, really, I'll remember that forever, you know. And it really kickstarted me back playing again. And I didn't have the best year, but I was, you know, I hadn't played for a long time, and I came out that year. Like, it was just a huge time in my life, you know. So, and they had my back at all times, and I will always just love them for that.
That time you mentioned in LA,
Yep.
not only you got your body right, but I feel like I heard you say somewhere also that you really dug into who you were as a person and found yourself.
Yeah, it was a big journey. That was. I sort of took it as this experiment to be like, I remember landing in LA and just immediately feeling at ease, because it's just a bit of a home for me. And I remember thinking, all right, when I sit back in this chair, however many months it takes, I want to know exactly who I am, what I'm doing, like, what am I going to do for this world, sort of thing. Am I going to just come out to my family and just be private that way? Am I going to tell the world? Like, what am I going to do? And I wanted to know when I was sitting back on that plane going home. And I just did everything I could to have that happen. Even down to like, there was just like so many cool things that I got to do that and every day was like a new lesson about myself and about this amazing community that I was joining, and this acceptance that just floods our community of like pride and happiness. There's also so much trauma and scars and battles, of course, but I think like that's what ties us all together and holds us all together. And that's what I learned through that time. I didn't tell anyone who I was. I just said my name was Isaac and I'm a musician here writing music, which I was as well. You know, I was doing that too, but I was like, I don't believe in last names the same way Mariah doesn't believe in birthdays. So I'm like, just don't worry about my last name.
Yeah, you're going back to that mysterious
Yeah,
lone wolf guy that wasn't
absolutely,
telling the
yes.
stories. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I got rid of my Instagram. I'm like, nah, I don't want to be me like right now. I just don't want to be this like fake persona that I had created over the years of Isaac Humphries. Like, let me just figure it out, and then when I come back, it'll be just so much better. So that's what I did. And I met all these amazing people who just like literally took me under their wing and were like, we got you. Like, come on, we'll teach you the ropes. We'll show you how this works. And it just was life-changing for me, like absolutely. And they're still some of my most close friends ever. And I hold a lot of space for them in my soul. Like, they really helped me. And it was like 5 months or something, you know, like I got to do prides and like pride festivals and like their Mardi Gras sort of thing. Yeah. Go to gay bars, which I'd never done before. Date, you know, like I'd never done any of that stuff before. So it was like really normal things that people get to do that I had never got to do. And someone told me on like one of my first dates actually, which like set me up for like so much knowledge. One of my first dates, he was like, he could probably just tell I wasn't. I'm like, hi.
Hey, you're cute.
He could just tell, you know. And so he went, I want to share something with you. As gays who come out later in life, when you are in your 20s, you're essentially going through your teens. When you're in your 30s, you're essentially going through your 20s, and it's sort of like a decade behind. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. And then I started thinking like, yeah, I never got the awkward first kiss, the awkward first date, like asking to the formal, like I never did
you're
any
meant
of
to be
that,
a pro.
you know, like yeah, straight away I should just know everything, right? And he was like, it's okay, like you're learning, you're in your teens right now, you're going through your awkward, like I don't know how things work phase, and that's fine. When you're in your 30s, you have your fun, like you're in your 20s, you know exactly what's going, like, and I thought, oh wow, that's like a really fascinating and really great way to put it, and it just has stayed with me for a long time. So yeah, just a bit of knowledge that I learned there. But yeah, LA, madness, what a place.
Yeah, I'm sure you've got very fond memories back in LA. But through that experience, then you've come back to Melbourne United, and you had the courage and bravery to speak openly.
Yep.
First to your family, I believe, but then in front of your teammates and staff
Yeah.
at basketball, at training, there with everyone.
I did.
Can you tell us about that experience? How that initial conversation was, and then I suppose everything that eventuated from that in that immediate time frame.
That whole experience was wild. Like I had decided to come out. Like I said, when I sat on that plane, I knew what I was doing.
How was that when you sat back in the chair?
Yeah, I sat back on that chair. Yep. And in my LA experiences, I had met a manager who really specializes in gay athletes. Like, even though there's not many of us, like in the sort of like male-dominated sports around the world. That's his sort of niche, and he has most of them. And I just have seen what he'd done with a few like NFL players and soccer players, and there was no basketball. So I was like, there's a space here to like really help, and we can make a really big impact here. So together we curated this plan, and yeah, when I sat back on that plane, I had all of these amazing new friends. I had all of these amazing new experiences. I knew so much more about myself. I was a whole different person, and it was really, really cool to go back home and know that I had a club who backed me basketball-wise and had absolutely no idea what was coming for them a few months later.
Just you wait.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah. And they'd say things to me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, you know, like, you wait. Like, and they had no idea, obviously, but I knew. So, yeah, coming out to them, I felt very comfortable. I was going to do it whatever team I went to anyway for myself, but with Melbourne United, it was next level. Like, they were so good, and I felt very comfortable to do that. But that day was wild. I was on my way to training, and they had even like adjusted the schedule because I told my head coach. I went to his house and sort of came out to him, which was really like hard to do because I had over the last 2 years come out to everyone I needed to, like my family and my friends, and I didn't want certain people reading this news in the media and stuff like that. So I had crossed all my T's, dotted all my I's, and I just had my team to sort of conquer. And my head coach, like I haven't had like a regular sort of relationship with my dad, and it was like a really interesting dynamic to come out to my head coach, because it felt like coming out to my dad, and it was like, oh,
Yeah,
I
how's he
didn't
gonna
realize
react?
until I
Or
sat across from him that I was like, oh, this is a little bit more full on than I thought it was going to be, you know?
in terms of his demeanor, or just what you're feeling?
Just how I was feeling.
Yeah.
Like I hadn't had that experience. So coming out to a man who I respected so much. And it was just really odd, and he just took it so well, and he was like, okay, all right, you know, like let's do this sort of thing, and asked all the right questions, and was just so open to it all. So then a week later, he had changed the schedule of the week so that it was a lighter day on court, because he knew I'd be a little bit, you know, stressed. Yeah. And he was just so supportive of all of it. And we had curated this whole plan, and I was going to sit in front of the team and film it so that I could share that moment with the world, because I really felt like people, like I had come out to so many people over the last year or two. I felt like there's so many people that don't know how to come out, and it can be really daunting and overwhelming. Like, of course, you know, like some people have an amazing experience, but some people don't. And I thought, well, why don't I show people this big athlete that people watch and see be angry and aggressive on the court, like have a really vulnerable moment with his teammates, and put people in the room and share how hard it can be coming out to people, you know? So that's how I sort of planned it all. And then I was on my way to training, and I had a car accident.
No.
Like on the way to the
Oh my
training. Yeah, it was
God.
wild. Like a stolen car T-boned me and sped off. And I was like, what?
In what state were you then in? Like,
Melbourne.
mangled?
Oh, I'm like, oh.
You're
Oh my God, you know, like I'm already
Yeah,
stressing.
and your
you know,
car's
my breakfast
totaled.
has hit not quite totaled. Like I could walk there, but they took it off me after that. I mean, I could drive to training, but yeah, so this stolen.
You did not need that on that
No
day.
way. I just
That
needed
is
a
the
nice,
last thing.
smooth, like a Bruce Almighty, every green light. Like that's what I needed, you know. Yeah. Instead, I got T-boned by a stolen car. Then he sped off. I got my life together, and witnesses like gave me their numbers and stuff, and I kept driving, and there's the car stashed, all doors open, like halfway in the road sort of thing. So I jump out, and a few people who had seen it sort of jumped out. There's a machete in the front seat, drugs everywhere. I'm like, is this for real?
Are you being set up here?
I'm like, okay,
I'm
universe,
getting pranked.
like,
Where's Ashton Kutcher?
this universe, yeah, Ashton. I'm like, this universe wants me to either never do this and just go home, and they're trying to stop me to get to the training, or it's trying to tell me that, like, look how fickle life is. Look at how short it, like, anything can happen. You like just go and do this and be yourself, sort of thing. So I took that way.
Yeah, that was a better way to look at it.
Because I was definitely not going to just drive home. But yeah, so that's on my way, and I've called my CEO and been like, I've just had a car accident, and he's like, mate, of all days, he's like, well, what's happening? I'm like, well, there's police everywhere. There's choppers. They're all looking for them. Like, I don't know if I can leave. Like, I don't know the rules. So anyway, eventually get to training and do like this. I don't know. I was so rattled. I just sort of like, I don't know, walked. I don't know. I don't even know what I did. I just sort of walked around, and like everyone was looking like, what's going on with Ice, you know? Anyway, and then I went into the room and was sitting there just so nervous, just so nervous. Like, I don't think I've ever felt like that in my life, you know, ever. And I didn't know what that feeling was. It was like anxiety and adrenaline and nerves. It was just all in one. Like, it was the craziest feeling ever. But I was ready for it. I knew exactly what I was going to say. And I, just started, and it just all happened. And yeah, everyone just got around me like so immediately. And a really cool story was, and then of course Dino, my head coach at the time, he had his notes and was like, you know, wanted to share his part of it as well, which was so nice. And a really cool part of that day was the team had made like Melbourne United rainbow shirts. And they had said to me, how do you feel about getting everyone to wear a shirt and have a photo after? And I said, no, like, no way. Like, they might not be cool with it. Like, we don't know how everyone's going to react. Like, let's just, like, can the shirts. Like, don't do that. And so after everyone gave me big hugs and went into the locker room, like, the day was over, someone came in and took a shirt, and we would like a few of the owners were wearing shirts, and someone caught wind that there were shirts, and the whole team one by one came back in and were like, "Where's the shirt?" Like, "Oh, I swear we want a shirt." And after me being like, "No way," everyone just wanted one anyway, and they wore it all year with pride. Like every day, someone would have the shirt on, and it was really cool. Like it became, as an athlete, you have like your rotation of gear. It became proper a part of the rotation, and I was like, wow, that's really cool. I didn't want to force it on anyone, but they were like, nah, like, we're with you for sure, and that was really cool. And no one had a problem. They were just really supportive and happy I was in a better space, because a lot of my issues with coming out was my mental health and really struggling with that. So they were just more so happy that I was happy again and not in a dark space, and it was just a really, really amazing experience through and through. Like I could not have asked for a better experience that day. And then obviously the whole like video and the experience from the world was madness. Like it was just madness, and my life's never been the same, really.
Yeah, I'm sure it's not, because that video went viral. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're expecting to make, I guess, a bit of noise with making that announcement. How much was you doing that for the benefit of yourself personally and getting yourself in the best possible place, as well as the impact that was going to have on other people? And I don't know, you now being the face and the first ever openly gay basketballer. Like, it's an amazing thing to do, and so much bravery and courage in doing so. But yeah, was that a legacy that you wanted to create, or was it more of a byproduct of you being assured in yourself?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of everything. Like I knew I sort of had to be prepared for what was going to happen in terms of like visibility and stuff like that. It was a bit of like, I can't now that I've done so much work to get myself to this point, like I can't just go back hiding, and I didn't want to. So half of it was for myself so that I could just be me everywhere. And then the other half was knowing the impact it would make and how much it could help people. And that's what I really honed in on post coming out. As much as I loved that I could just be myself finally. And at that point I was like, yeah, like I know a little bit more about myself, but who is myself? Like I've spent 20 something years like being a whole lie, so that was really cool to know that I could actually I don't have to lie about girls and anything anymore. And that was really nice for myself. But yeah, mostly it was about how we can help people moving forward and create this insane, like I was given this insane visibility and this insane platform to do whatever I wanted. And it was sort of like, well, what I want to do is help people. So that's the route we're going to go. And yeah, it came with magazine covers and clothes and red carpets and all of these really fancy, beautiful, cool, fun things that everyone thinks that they want to do. But I made it really, really clear from day one that mental health and being a really visible, prominent figure in like the gay space and the mental health space, especially in youth, is really important to me. And then when I got the call to be like the national face of Are You OK Day, I was so overwhelmed with gratitude. I was just like, whatever we have to do to land that and make sure I can do that as much as I can, we're doing it. And my manager was really with it, and I just have been so grateful for them and giving me another platform to be really vocal about mental health, to a point where I mentioned to them I was really passionate about school education. And we ended up creating together, filming this humongous education module, where it was played every day. It was played in every school on Are You OK Day this year, so a month ago. And it was literally like an education module that I created with Are You OK Day. We filmed all day with like 10 basketball kids, and we just sat around and talked about mental health and how hard it is to be in high school and what it's like to be a good friend. And I was really lucky to give them tips and advice, and they opened up to me, and it was awesome. And it condensed down to a 10-minute video that was played in every single school in the country, just educating them on mental health. And it was just wild to me that Like, I was once sitting in school watching a slideshow on Are You OK Day, and I remember it, to now me being that slideshow. Like, super weird, you know?
It's amazing full circle moment.
Really cool, yeah.
What impact have you felt, or is there any sort of nice stories that have come back to you, I suppose, since coming out, since being a face of Are You OK Day? Is there any sort of stories that you could share that's had large impact, whether it be on community, just an individual person, sporting clubs?
There's a few that stand out. It's hard to pinpoint because there really is a lot, you know, like I get a lot of messages in that space, but in particular when I'm playing a game and I'm finishing and like finish a game and you sort of do a round of high fives and stuff for the crowd. I remember one kid sort of maybe 17 or 18, like kind of grabbed me and was like, I saw your video and it made me decide to come out to my mum and like come out to my family. And I was like, wow, like congrats, man, that's really awesome. And he's like, yeah, I don't know how to do the rest, but like I just watch your video and it gives me like heaps of courage to do it. And I'm like, wow, that's really cool. And that's just, you know, that's just one example after a game where someone will come up to me. Or I had a concert literally in this park. I'm just here, and audience can't see it, but there's a park right there where I had a big concert for Fringe, and I was doing a meet and greet sort of thing after the show, and a family, like two parents and their child, sort of came up to me in a very nice moment and was like, "This is our kid," and very clearly like a non-binary, you know, maybe not sure what gender space they want to be in just yet, and just said, "We're really thankful for what you're doing in this space. We've really struggled with, you know, understanding how this all works, and really we just want to be supportive. We just want to make sure our kid knows that they can be whatever they want. And watching you be such a good basketball player and such an amazing performer and just so many things has really shown us like that we can support anything, and it's shown them that they can be anything they want as well." And that's another one that stands out. You know, there's so many of those though that just are so gratifying. And what really gets me is when someone tells me that I've saved their life. And that's wild to think that someone sat in a room and thought of me and not gone through with, you know, maybe taking their life, or not gone through with a really maybe silly decision. It's just unbelievable sometimes when I sit at home and be like, wow, I've like saved a life. Like that's so crazy, so crazy. But yeah, there's just a few examples.
Wow, thank you for sharing. I'm blown away.
It's wild. Like it really is.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
you must
but
be
it's
so
awesome.
proud of
I
yourself.
love to be that for people. Yeah.
How would you say that we can make sporting environments, I guess, a safer space for people to follow in your footsteps?
Yeah, that's a tough question because like I think it's almost like that exposure therapy sort of concept where like my team, right, we're really open about it. I talk about it a lot. Where, you know, there's no like weirdness, and I think it's because there's a gay player on the team and it's like normalized and it's all good, you know. I think it's that it's obviously there's not, and I'm the only one still in the world, so you know we're the only environment that gets to experience that. But I think it's just like that safe space of having a representation, or having a space where representation can feel safe to be themselves, and that creates a really, really nice environment to be in. But I think also just like things like Pride Round, being open about things, talking as a club, being okay to hang your hat on supporting that community. Like we all see the comments, we all know what happens like online, and it happens, you can't walk down the street correct anymore, you know, like people just hate to hate, and there's so much hate out there. But what I really admire in leagues like AFLW, NBL, is when leagues and teams will fly the flag and be like, you know what, this is a safe space for us and we will support you, and this sport is for everybody, and we will publicly acknowledge that, you know, and I think that really helps with creating a safe space as well.
How proud are you of the NBL for adopting Pride Round and implementing that after you came out, and what impact do you think that has on that visibility piece that you spoke of, and just empowering whether it be young kids or people currently playing in the league?
Yeah, I'm very proud. I'm proud of them before. I'm proud of them for having that initiative and wanting to do that. And I'm very proud to be a player in a league that is willing to get behind me and my community, because I know it's a space where not everyone's like sure just yet, and not everyone agrees and all that stuff. That's fine, you know. I don't agree with things as well, you know, but with some things people do, you know, and that's just who we are as people. But yeah, beyond proud to be involved and to play. Like we're athletes, right? We work so hard to be the best we can, and to be in a league that like so openly is like, yeah, we're proud of you, and we're proud to be so visible with this particular topic. I think that speaks volumes on what they're doing, and the involvement that I'll be able to have now moving forward with the NBL and my very public allies, you know, as well, that really love the NBL, that are friends of mine, that are really flying the flag as well. I think there's just some really good stuff happening in that space. So very proud of them, and I'm very proud to be a part of that too.
It is our Pride round, as we mentioned. So this is our Guernsey that we'll be wearing this week.
Guernsey, I love
Guernsey, what do you want to call it?
We say Jersey.
Oh yeah,
but
we can call it whatever we
I've
want.
learned in AFL it's Jersey. Sorry, I've learned nothing.
Whatever it is, we don't care. It's a jumper.
Guernsey.
Jumper, do you resonate with jumper?
I don't know. I don't even know. We're overthinking it.
So words we have written here are celebration, support, community, respect, mind, gender, unity, education, acceptance, and growth. Mm-hmm. I'm sure they're all words that resonate with you in some way or another. Is there any that stand out to you and that you would like to talk to? Yeah,
I think they're all great, obviously. These education, acceptance, and growth are really great because, like people have these views and without even sometimes having any idea of like what's even going on, you know. It's like you have no education on the topic, so like how do you have such a strong point of view on, you know, my life, you know? So education's amazing. Acceptance is great because, you know, I'm plugging my show again, but during my show I talk about acceptance, and you know, I talk about the concept of like, you may not understand somebody, you may not understand everything about that person or agree with everything, but there's there's something really powerful in just finding a little acceptance in them, or acceptance in that situation. And it's often what people will say to me after the show, and they'll say like, that acceptance concept like really got me. Like I don't understand some people, but maybe I could just accept it, and it could just change my mindset. And so that word in particular I love. I saw allyship somewhere.
Oh, is that on the? Oh yeah, sorry.
When I was looking.
Diversity, empathy, belonging.
I feel like it was maybe on the back.
Oh yeah. Okay. We've got lots of words here.
Allyship. I think that's really important in sport, because, well, in my situation, you know, I'm the only one, and I really rely on my allies. I rely on my teammates, and I'm in a very straight male-dominant world, like most of the time. So I really rely heavily on my allies and the allyship of my teammates, and them wanting to learn about the community and wanting to understand me a bit more. And they do, and they're phenomenal at doing that. And I really appreciate it when they do that. So allyships I think are a really cool one too.
I'm sure you weren't, but were you surprised about how, I guess, accepting people were of you when you decided to come out, and that allyship that existed? Like, was that a surprise to you, or were you expecting pushback to those in, I guess, your somewhat circle?
Yeah, I definitely was expecting some pushback for sure. I was not expecting like almost 100% success rate, you know, of acceptance and that sort of thing. I was surprised with a few people, a few situations. And I think that just made the whole experience even better, because I was fully prepared to maybe lose relationships or, you know, adjust myself to like, and that's not like a great mindset to have either, you know. So, but I was fully prepared for a few people in my immediate circle to just maybe not be in my life anymore. But it just wasn't the case. Like I think the feedback I got from people when I did share, like, oh, I was really nervous about so-and-so or this. And the feedback was just like, we know you and we know your character, and your character sort of just overthrows any of that stuff. And we just love you for you. And that's really all that matters to us, sort of thing. So, yeah, it was a really lovely surprise to see so much support, you know, and not much, you know, what's the opposite?
Yeah.
Not support.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, like, what's that word?
It's just so incredible that you were willing to put yourself in a position to learn that, because I feel like so many people, especially in team environments where you care so much about one another, like, of course, teammates are going to have your back, whatever walk of life you come from, whatever decision you make, like teammates and supporters of you are always going to be there for you. So for you to be brave enough to put yourself in a position to potentially flip that and not have that support, but to receive it, is obviously deserving given the kind of guy that you are.
Thanks.
And it's just incredible to see you now thriving in your life, and with all this support. It's such an inspiration for hopefully people who are unsure but can lean on you and gain inspiration from what you've been able to do. So congratulations. Thanks. You so much for speaking about Pride Round.
My pleasure.
It's an incredible story, and you should be really proud, and thank you for sharing your story, because being part of the Pride community, there needs to be so much more advocates, especially for men in sport. I feel really lucky to be part of AFLW community that's very inclusive as it is, and Pride Round to us is a really great celebration, but I feel like Pride Round for you is far more about the advocacy and education, which is so important. So congratulations for leading the way. Do you have anything on that in terms of, I guess, female sport, as I say, being more of a celebration versus the advocacy piece in male-dominated sports?
I think, I don't know. I think it's, like, obviously the sample size, I guess, if you will. Like, there's, it's hard when you're the only one in a field, and then there's such a beautiful array of support and people and gay people, like, in your sport. And I don't know. I think it's just different right now, and that's okay. I think it's just a slow burn, and I don't know if we'll ever get to, like, I don't know what we'll ever get to. It is what it is, and I'll just always try to be as visible. I think visibility is the most important thing, and having someone to actually look at, and you know, you guys have some amazing, incredible role models in AFLW that are flying these amazing flags in all sorts of different minority groups and all that sort of stuff. And I just get to be the one for me and my group, you know. But yeah, and until there's others, I'll just keep doing it.
Well, you're doing it very well, so continue it. Congratulations on everything you're doing. There's big things to come. I can't wait to follow your journey.
Thank you.
Good luck this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend, 2 games.
Let's go.
And you tomorrow, right?
Yes, yep, playing tomorrow.
Yes.
So it'll be good. But no, thank you so much. It's been
pleasure.
an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. Cheers.
Big life milestones, you know, like buying a house, having a baby. Sure, they're exciting, but they can also be a little intimidating too. Zurich's Life Insurance gives you peace of mind by providing a financial backup plan in case you're not able to earn an income if you're sick or injured. Zurich Life Insurance. They don't just cover, they care. Read the relevant PDS and TMD issued by Zurich Australia Limited at zurich.com.au and consider if the product is right for you.
Keen to hear more from the Ds? Subscribe here.